Just 10 minutes late. Gotta love technology.
Gotta love it.
Yo, I was over here. I don't know what's up with my wonderful iPhone and my beautiful Apple products, but I don't even know what to say. I tested everything earlier and then, get on and here we go. But it's all good. Here we are for our episode of Queen's Glean. We actually had a really amazing show with former NFL player, athlete, actor, producer, my boy Jerrell Pippens, who is just an amazing dude. So he shared so much with us. So before we get started, panel, well, I'm Jaimi, I'm your host, and y'all introduce yourselves.
I am Keandra Doss. Shoot, you introduced us so well. I'm like, what else?
I know.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You're very well spoken. You are the creator of Surrender Sessions and the Surrendered Society. You always have a word. So Keandra Doss is in the building. And of course, we got Queen Cookie. She's got the stories. She's got the anecdotes. She's growing, living, and loving out here. What up, Queen Cookie?
I got all the stories because I've been through everything.
Girl, well, this
and I'm still going through it.
Can we raise your hands if you're still going through it?
I'm gonna raise both. And both
I got 2 hands.
I got my toes up. Toes up.
Right.
Going through it, but this is what's beautiful about these chats. I have been out of commission for the day. However, I was looking forward to this because being able to talk about these things and connect with y'all is important to me because we always learn something and grow. So I have some clips that I put together that he shared. And we're just going to have a conversation about it all. All right, y'all. Let's get this first clip. Before we do that, what did you think about Jerrell as a whole? Just in general about what he had to share?
So articulate, loved that he was able to bring together I'm sure we'll get into it, but how he brought together the, basically the objectification of like male bodies and how that starts in the connection with like slavery and, just like the African-American studies. It was just like, yes. Like, I'm a nerd, so I love, excuse me, become intellectual.
Yes.
I got to take a little sip.
Yeah, no, you very well said.
Take a little sip, girl. Take a little
sip. Get that little sip. Yeah, he's very intellectual.
I didn't even got my sip. I should have got me some sip.
I couldn't sip today. I might have been on here like just a little too.
Well, this is actually tea. Like this is real sip, not my usual red wine sip. So.
Girl, you over there drinking tea while we get into this tea?
Yes.
All right. What
I
did
was
you think about him? Yeah.
So I was really excited even when you had first promoted this interview. Number one, I'm always interested in hearing athletes' perspectives on things. Because I find like, especially with professional athletes, they see our world from 2 different lenses. Especially when we were talking with Nate last time too, how women kind of just toss themselves at them and they're in this different type of lifestyle. And so it's always interesting to see the kings who have grown. And like you said, Keandra, he was just very intellectual, knew what he was talking about. And sometimes people just equate these athletes as just dumb idiots and that they're just nothing. And I love when these men come on here and break that mold, or actually that stereotype that, they're shut up and dribble or shut up and play boy, so I love when they extend their careers and just evolve as men. It's beautiful.
Amen. We even talked about in the episode, some of these guys, just the refinement that they get as they grow older. I'm not mad at it. I'm here for it. So let's dive into this first clip and see what Jerrell has to say.
And I take my shirt off at their event. I got my medals on, and you're tying your shoe. You're like, yo, what the hell is these women looking at? But you're still a man. Hey, how you doing? What's your name? Whatever. But it seems as though, like you said, they look at you as subhuman, even to the point where that fight I got into, all I told her in so many words was no. Hey, I don't don't want to be exclusive.
Mm.
Man. So with that being said, that's tough because, you know, here we go. Let's get this plugged in here. Men kind of go through a little bit of the same stuff us women do, but just in a different way. So what just in the for the clip in general, what did you guys think about what he had to say?
It definitely was, you know, a lot of what I was thinking about when I was thinking of, you know, just the shout out and the thing that stood out to me about the interview. And that is the other side of it, of how uncomfortable it can be to be looked at for just the physical part of you. And so you don't really hear a lot of men talk about how uncomfortable it can be. And, you know, he shared a lot of just how he was focused, you know, even though he was an athlete and did multiple sports, he was focused. He graduated with honors. He was, you know, he studied. And while he may not have had, you know, the emotional maturity to communicate that to the other women in a way where they could receive it, I guess a little bit softer, and it wasn't necessarily hurting their feelings, it still was kind of something that made him uncomfortable. And you usually don't hear a lot of men really talk about that. And how it's just, I don't know, I guess it touches that sensitivity, just that. I always kind of think of the scene in Boomerang when after Robin Gibbons puts the money on the nightstand and Eddie Murphy grabs the book and like he pulls it like
he touches his girls,
and pulls it up to his chin. And so I kind of got that visual when he was talking about it. It's like, ooh, I just feel so naked, so used, so like, ooh, you know. So it definitely is something that's not talked about. And I know I can say as a woman, I haven't always been aware of how a man can feel, you know, just as overly sexualized as we do sometimes for just, you know, the physiques, the whistling, the, ooh, look at your thick neck, you know, like all the things that we could say, you know, about athletes.
Your thick neck.
Thick neck. You know, the athletes, the football players in particular, you know, we'd be talking about those thick necks.
I mean, you know.
Yeah, it was
yes, I love that. What were your thoughts?
So, you know, I've used me a few men or two, you know, and you don't think about how that makes them feel. I've never thought twice after I had a little hookup, like how he felt. I felt like he felt good because he got what he wanted, right? So this was definitely interesting to see what it actually does for their mind. And I was just like, I don't know, my mind's like spinning right now. I'm thinking like how many times I might have left a man hanging because he maybe wanted more. And I just was like, oh no, this is only, I just wanted you for that. And I think women, we feel like sometimes we are owning our sexuality by just making it that, and oh, I just call you for this, and so it was just interesting perspective. I dug it. I was like, it taught me something. I sometimes never thought about how does a man feel.
Yeah,
it's true. Exactly, a whole nother level of awareness. And I love this because in this particular story, what he was sharing about is like coming into his man years. So it's like, you know, going from, you know, 12, 13, 14 is one thing, but 16, 17, 18, you start to get grown women looking at you like, oh, who's this boy?
Mm-hmm.
And what is he doing? You know, so that's really, so do you think us as women might have an issue? I don't want to say an issue, but maybe a habit of looking at men like objects, because I even think of it, yes, if they're sexy, their muscles, they're this or that. But when I think of them like objects, I'm also like the bill payer, the protector. And I mean, you know, we kind of dehumanize just a little bit. So do you think we kind of have a habit of looking at men like objects, but could stand to like switch that up a little bit?
I don't know. Like
Queen Quickie was like, I did.
I mean, yeah, like I definitely think that there's moments when we do, but when, at least the moments when I've done it, because I actually could relate to what Cookie was saying, it was a moment of where I thought it was an empowerment to reverse this thing of like, oh, well, I'm going to use you the same way that y'all use us. So I'm going to look at you and basically only want you for the physical part. And so it wasn't And I can say that I don't think it's natural really for me to immediately just look at a man and only see the physical part and think of him as just this object. But in the moments when I have, acted on that, it definitely was in this false empowerment where it was like, well, I'm gonna just basically reverse the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel you
No,
on that
I'll be
too.
putting my
I'm
men in
definitely
boxes.
guilty.
No, I
Yeah.
mean, I just
So do
do. I think it's
I.
just like a mental thing for me. Like I have a physical type that I like. So if I'm walking down the street and I see that, I'm like, oh, look at his booty. Because I'm a booty girl. Like I
Mm,
love men
mhm.
with nice asses because I think it's like speaks to their athleticism a little bit. So, I'll be checking them out. Like I'll be in the grocery store and then let there be like a fine ass man in front of me. I'm checking him out. Like I just am. I don't know. I feel like I'm somewhat building my dream man in my head too. So I'll be like, universe, that right there. That's the physique right there. So but I think in my younger days, I definitely was like, oh, I need him because he got money, or oh, I need him because he drive this kind of car. But that was just me being young and dumb. Now I am still putting men in boxes, but they're different type of boxes. I'm like, oh, okay, he's healed. Oh, this one, he's a family man. This one wants to get married. This one wants to settle down. Like my boxes have changed. I'm not looking, oh yeah, he drives a Range Rover. Let me get him. Or oh, he's
I
the one
remember
that
those days.
my young dumb. I was looking at I was in the wrong boxes. I was in the wrong pool. Remember, I was in the wrong swimming pool. So yeah, I mean, I think naturally we just do. But definitely I'm trying to get out of that because I think sometimes you miss things in people because you're like, oh, you don't fit my box. You don't fit in my box. So
But what about, because
Yeah.
even with the boxes, there are the athletes, since we're talking about them, there are some athletes who are fine, but they are really not very smart, or they just can't carry a conversation. So where there's just nothing else stimulating outside of the physical, and that can be a little, that's me. But I guess that would be the type of guy that could be put in that box of where it's like, you're only
just
good for
body.
the muscles.
Just body. Like you just
So
look
pretty.
good.
So just so
Got nothing up here. You just look good.
Yes, I want to jump in the chat now that I'm organized. Got Sunny Rose in here. What's up? Yeah, she's just agreeing with us.
Oh,
And she
dang,
said, I
there's
love
all
the
kinds of
boomerang thing.
comments. Oh my goodness.
You see? Yeah, and then Raquel was in here, but I missed those. But we're in here. I was thinking about with this, I'm definitely guilty too, because I feel like for me, I definitely am one of those people, I'm attracted to good looking men. I always call it the man on campus that I'm dating. But I think I can take ownership for objectifying in the sense where I'm expecting them to have more behind all that. Like, if you have enough discipline to work out, you can show up for practice, you're headed this way, I'm looking at you with an expectation like, but what's up all the way, And so I don't know. And Jerrell was kind of saying that it's like the build, like just because you're 6 something with muscles and this and that, it doesn't make you a man. It makes you a male, but it doesn't mean that you have all of the parts and thought processes and mindset it takes to be a man. And I think that's where I've completely sold myself short and messed up, where I'm like, ooh, I see him, that's man. It's like, no, that's just a male. He's not ready for what you're talking about, but he's just cute.
He's a man boy.
Nobody got time for no man boys. Lord have mercy. We are past that. Like you said, oh, does he drive a Range Rover? We're not doing that no more. Does he
my future man could drive a Range Rover. He's still, I could still date a Range Rover type of man. I just don't want a man boy behind the driver's seat.
That is so funny. Well, I was going to play a different video first, but I think that these two things tie in straight together. So let me go to our second topic. I hope I do this right. Lord have mercy. Y'all pray for me. So if that one was
nobody would know if you didn't. Just roll the clip.
We rolling aren't we?
Yeah, part of the social aspect of us growing up, especially athletes. Hey man, did you hit?
Right.
You knock her down.
Right.
You might say, man, this girl was great. She was awesome. She was this, she was that, or she wasn't awesome. Oh man, whether she was awesome, whether she was positive or negative, the silver lining for a lot of men, did you F-U-C-K?
And we already know that they roll like this.
Yeah.
We have an idea, but I think we
The
need
women
to think
are
about it just a little bit more.
Women are
because
the
this is a
same
sport.
way. I think women are the same way.
Enlighten me.
Because
How
when
so?
I ask, whenever my girls go out with, a new dude in their life, I ask the same thing. Did y'all have sex? Like, I mean, I do, because I want to know how serious the relationship is with them. And I know if she let him hit, I know it was good. So I ask my friends, I'm like, oh, so what'd you guys do? Like, because I want to know. So, but I feel like definitely pressure for men for sure. I feel like there's a timeline, like, oh, 1, 2, how many dates? Oh, you still ain't hit it? I feel like his boys is, in his head, like, oh, y'all went out 2 months already. Like his, there is definitely like, I think pressure to fit in, especially when you're with some men, men who are players, or that's kind of how they grew up. Then it's a body count, it is that, and how fast you could do it. And in that world, the athletic NFL world, oh, for sure. It's not even how many, it's just like who and what time, because it's already coming. It comes with that territory. They setting girls up for them, so yeah, did you hit?
Right.
And how many times?
I mean, I think it's good. I'm the same way. I'd be asking my friends like, oh, did you hook up or did you do this or that? But I think the context is way different. I'm not like, girl, did you get that though? Like maybe I could see that.
No, not like that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like the difference in that, like, I was a little surprised, but not surprised to see how much weight, is really put on it. Because if you think about it, if guys are having this pressure, I don't know, that's just a pressure to perform in a way that is unnatural. And I don't know about y'all, but I feel it. So that when they act like that, I was sharing with Jerrell, it's like y'all being that disconnected and treating it like a game, we can sniff that out. And that's when your games become our games. And we know how to play too. But is that really serving anybody at the end of the day? No. But we know how to, if you want to play, we could play too. Right.
There's a little
Sunny
bit of a delay on my end.
In the chat said, I think there's a delay on my end too. So my story is I'm using my iPhone 6 because my iPhone 10 is not working right now. And it's probably because the 12 is coming out. But that's cool. I probably have a delay on this whole thing because of that.
That's
6.
how
I'm
they
on a
do it.
6 right now. That's how they do it. I can't even swipe, touch, nothing. So, yes, Sunny Rose said the sex talk is more about bragging rights with men, and women are checking on one another when they ask each other about it. Yes, and that's what I put in my chat today on Instagram. Like, can we get some new mantras? Because there's nothing to brag about, especially when a lot of these dudes end up with children by a woman they don't even know, and
or
then
don't want to know.
Don't want to, how about that? Don't want to know.
How about that?
Or really don't understand the weight of
Mm-hmm.
being connected to someone like that forever. You know what I mean? Like, that's a whole thing.
And then they heal, then they grow
all
up,
the time,
they
even
get therapy.
outside the athletic world, have this mantra and this belief that no is better than new is, I don't even know.
Ain't
if
no
I should
pussy
say,
like
I don't
new
want to say
pussy.
it.
I just
Thank
said
you.
it.
You can say it for me.
Ain't no pussy like new pussy. That's what they say.
That's the mantra, so it's like, and for athletes, the interesting thing is I would think that wouldn't even be impressive, because it's like, you don't really have to work hard to get it. You know what I mean? Like, it is literally a lineup, and it's every city, you know what I mean? Like, you don't even have to be cute. Just
every flavor,
fruits, and it's like, is that really impressive still? I guess, but to me, it's like, yeah, what else is there?
Yeah, I mean, and then too, it makes me wonder about where their self-worth and where their self-esteem is. And, you know, maybe how we can implement more of that idea into this with men, because they still carry energy and things like that. And, you know, it's like, what do you think and feel about yourself? Or what did you grow up learning about yourself if just being all out like that doesn't really mean much to you? It's interesting because it is so different. Us women, we're not up here slanging it like that. So it is different to kind of hear how far men really go just to, you know, get the trophies on the wall, like he said. I'm kind of wondering if there's anything that we can do in pre-pubescent years to kind of equip men and women, men for having a higher esteem about themselves and having some couth about how they move the best they can. I know hormones and all that, but then also women being a little bit more mindful about how they move, and then just really realizing that's how guys move about it. Because when a guy is trying to get it, I've been suckered a lot into all kind of hopes and dreams and gifts and trips and, you know, all kinds of stuff. And I can't say that I've always knew how to navigate someone who was just trying to take me down for sport and somebody who was genuinely interested. I needed a little playbook or something to help me out.
Yeah. And I don't know if I don't know. I guess there is a playbook, but I don't even know when it's appropriate to really give it, you know, like like what is the right age to actually
Hell no, middle school.
Middle school, you think?
Kids are doing shit at 10 years old.
That I definitely believe. You know, it's not to say that, you know, the exploring and all that stuff, but to the point where you actually understand the difference between when you're getting played and you're looking for something different, and you realize like, okay, the dude is basically just doing what he can to hit. Yeah, like those games really do start. I think probably high school, but there's also a limited amount that a guy can use in high school to actually like impress you. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it changes at every level because, you know, most people in high school, it's not that they have great jobs or cars all the time. Sometimes they do, but maybe not necessarily. So the things that would impress us now in the ways that we can maybe get bamboozled, you know, from a man who's taking us on trips for all these other things, it's different when you are, you know, in high school. And so I don't know. I guess it could just be broken down at every level, but I don't know. I don't really know when would be the right time to lace somebody with that conversation.
I think it definitely starts with the parents. It starts with the parents. But I mean, if we are going to put it on the teachers at school, there needs to be some sort of like psychology, mental health, emotional intelligence type classes for these people, because that's really what's going to set you apart when you're in these situations, when your kitty cat is dripping wet and a man is sitting right here. How are you going to say no? You have to learn how to say no to those types of things. And, you know, for a man, you might be rock hard, ready to go. And you know you're not supposed to do that. And it takes a strong man to not do that, you know, and it takes a strong woman to not do that. It's the worst thing ever to be ready to go. And then, nothing happens, you know. So, but you have to understand what that is and how to get that energy out another way. That's the part that people don't really understand, is that energy that's still sitting there, that sexual frustration. What do you do with that? What do you do with that? And people don't know what to do with it when it drives them fucking crazy. And then they want to go and then they end up having sex or doing some other crazy stuff again. So it's really the back part of that is how to say no, and then what do you do with that no, and what do you do with those emotions and those feelings that you have going on inside of you?
Yeah, no, that's a good point to bring up.
I'd also add to that the emotional part of it too. Like that's a consequence that I don't think gets talked about a lot. Like not necessarily just the baby or the STI or the STD, but like, how do you get over being stigmatized? It's not cute. You know what I mean? Like, how do you really guard your heart in a way so where you can basically decipher between when it's, you know, when it's really, really love, when it's really genuine, and it's, you are just digmatized and you were able to get out of, you know, out of that trance, you know, like that's a very real thing. I feel like that's probably one of the worst consequences that could happen above, you know, some of the other, you know, basic things that we tend to hear about all the time, like those things of what it does to our hearts and, you know, just the emotional part, Cookie, that you spoke to. We definitely don't speak to that stuff enough.
If you have somebody that understands their power and you're dealing with someone who doesn't, then you're going to overpower them. And so that's what's happening with these young women out here, and even some of these men who are out here just losing their virginities, not because they wanted to, but they felt they had to, or they felt like this person wasn't going to like them if they didn't do it, or, you know, and that's in your head. That's something inside of you. And that's something that I learned. I lost my virginity all the wrong way, like the whole wrong way. And when I had to go and sit with myself, I was like, why did I feel like I needed to do that with him? Like, why did I feel like I needed to do that with him? You know, and why did I, and, you know, I was just like, why? Because he was popular. And I felt like I still don't know the answer. You know, I'm still trying to figure, why did I feel the need to have to do that with him? And so, you know, in not knowing that, I was going to feel a certain type of way afterwards. Like you said, Keandra, sex comes with feelings, whether the hell you like it or not. It comes with feelings because it's a soul tie. And now you are tied to this person. So even if you hooked up with them one time, you never see them again, they're going to pop up in your mind in about 5-6 years. And you'll be like, oh, damn, yeah, I forgot that person. Oh, my God. But it's going to keep coming up because they're tied to your soul. And until you release that tie, these people are going to be tied to, and these young kids, they don't know how to release those ties. Nope. So those people are going to keep coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back.
Even if they keep coming back and coming back and coming back in the form of the same type of person.
Exactly.
You know,
it's
hooked
the
up
same
with in the
thing.
first part. Yeah. No, I definitely agree. You guys had some amazing points, and, you know, that heart work, to be honest, I think that's the main reason why I avoid it, to be honest. I'm just like, am I human? Do I have the urges? Yes, of course. But I'm not in the mood to have to get over another person. It's too much work. It's too much. It's very, very hard. And, you know, Cookie, to what you were saying about one of the main things when and if I have children, I want to speak to them about, especially the girls, because I can speak to it. Daddy can handle the boys, but is how to have that mindset of how to walk away. Because sure, you know, we've talked about it here where we learned in the church and it was just like, no sex is bad. Okay, so now I feel shame for having it. But guess what? Like you said, when the kitty is feeling some kind of way, y'all, the R&B is playing, the candles lit, you went to the movies, he got you flowers, it didn't, like, because they used to go all out. I don't know. I used to go on some bomb dates back in the day. And it's like, what do you do?
How do you get out of this?
Say no in the heat of the moment. But I think that comes back to your personal codes and principles and being able to identify that before you leave the house. Because I have had moments where I've had a man after some foreplay type activity, he wasn't about to get anything from me, and he could turn around and tell me I have the willpower of a ninja. But that's because I had to make the decision before I left the house, before what I was not going to do. I had to settle that within myself because you're not thinking straight in the heat of the moment. You're just not.
So real. One of the old school ways that we would do it is either not shave our legs or wear some granny pants.
Oh, yeah. I said booby traps. I do. So I'm not as you know, my willpower is not very strong. So I have to set booby traps because if I don't, he gonna get me. He gonna get this cookie, okay? I'm gonna tell you something. I just went on a date 2 weeks ago, and I did the same thing, Jaimi. I told myself beforehand, I was like, no. Okay. So like halfway through dinner, like we're drinking. So I'm like, oh, I've been drinking. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, oh my God, my kitty's getting a little tingly down there. Shit. Am I about to mess my, you know? I went in the bathroom and I swear to God, I had a talk with myself in the mirror. I was like, Erica, no. No. And I'm so proud of myself. I went home that night. I didn't do anything, but I had to talk myself down. And
can we just give you a round of applause for that? Can we celebrate the little wins? Can we celebrate the little wins?
Because, I was a little disappointed. It went home with my blue balls and everything. I was like, oh my God.
It be like that, though.
But I did. I had a whole pep talk with myself in the mirror. I was like, no, bitch. You ain't coming out them drawers tonight. Not tonight. It's not time yet.
No.
And I did it, and I was so proud of myself.
Put that fire out.
But yeah, you're right. If I didn't have that code, if I didn't have those codes or those principles, if I didn't have that talk with myself, it was going down. It was going down. Because that's just my body. That's how your body works. Like she works. Like she still works. So, she should be ready at the drop of a dime. So I'm like, I can't tell her no. I have to know no up here. You have to know no up here because your body is going to speak,
Mm-hmm. She speaks.
My mind's telling me no.
She purrs.
Oh, no.
Hilarious.
Lord have mercy. Sunny Rosa is giving you claps in the chat. She said yes. And don't get into them situations, them granny panties.
She said the granny panties. Yes.
Yes. And then, whatever you got to do. Shoot. Okay, so this is a good question. How much of a man's sexual predatory behavior is biology versus peer pressure, social conditioning?
That's a great question. That's a great question.
It's a mixture of both.
I think it's such a combo of both.
I really do, because I feel like even like the squarest of the square guy in high school is thinking about sex. Like, he doesn't have to be on the football team. And if you get him in a situation, the nerds are hidden too, so I feel like some of it is a little bit of, normal. They're just puberty and, wanting to have sex. But at the same time, are your friends hyping you up and making you want to do it? And is TV teaching you that? Is radio and music telling you and doing all this stuff? Absolutely. We've been singing. We've been singing My Neck, My Back since we was 12 years old. First, you got to put your neck into it. Like, I was 12 years old talking about my neck, my back, lick my pussy and my crack.
I didn't know what they was talking about, though.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm 12 years old. Like, you don't need to lick nothing.
See, I listen to music differently. So I was really clueless because now I look back at certain songs and I'm like, ooh, I'm grown. I was like, this was the jam back in the day, and I didn't even know what I was singing about.
You were saying. Exactly. It's so weird. I was watching this thing about the spells and music that they put on it, and and people are singing these things over and over and over again, and it's putting it into your universe because it's a spell. It's this is why the celebrities are these popular people, because you're in their trance. Like you're in their world, you're in their universe. You don't even know it, but that's a whole nother talk. But yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with both of you. It absolutely is a combination of both. And Cookie, when you were just talking about how, certain songs can be a spell, I don't know if you guys remember back in like the church days when they were basically saying that I want to sex you up is demonic, because of the of the trance basically that it was putting in. People were getting a little bit reverse and all that stuff. I don't know if you remember when that craze happened, where they were like making certain, claims and decoding certain things back based on that. But with some of it can be real. Yeah, people still can talk about it, but music has a way of definitely like inspiring and motivating and getting you into a particular mood. And I don't know that the type of songs that, like, the sexual nature of songs, I think has always existed. We're just a lot more explicit in the language that we use in the songs. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the Rick James was not, you know, for the prudes, you know, like he was definitely out here doing it. Ma Rainey, you know, like we could take it even further back to the, you know, the blues, the jazz,
yeah.
and the blues, you know, all of that was very sexual and sensual, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like, you know, deep throat, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, they weren't as explicit as what we tend to hear now, you know what I mean? And so that's really the I guess I would say the difference. And there is something to be said about, you know, being a little discreet and modesty. Like, there's a place for that, even a little bit of, you know, mystery to certain things, and, you know, all that. Nothing wrong with it every now and then.
Yeah, definitely. While you guys were talking, yes, it makes all the sense with their music, and it is in there. That's just, you know, part of what it is. Again, their mantras, their spells, they're all of these things that we're digesting, and it's becoming a part of our world without even, you know, thinking about it. But, you know, with Sunny's question about, is it biology or pressure? I mean, maybe it is. Maybe pressure does tilt the scale, because I don't know about y'all. I mean, I feel like our sexual drive is the same. Sometimes, you know, I don't really think there's too much of a difference in our drive. But because I feel like for women, our social chatter is close those legs, chastity belt, don't be a hoe. Da, 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 da. I feel like we're a lot more hesitant, because if I didn't get that messaging, I feel like there were seasons where I had the potential to just be whatever, just because of the pleasure and the fun and the newness and the, you know, not every season for me has been about finding a husband. So I can see how the social aspect probably tips the scale and makes it okay. There's no boundaries in that. So it sounds like freedom, but a few little boundaries, you know, might be okay. So that's where that sexual discipline comes into play. And yeah, learning how to balance that out.
Yeah, it's definitely embedded, I think, in a lot of just the social norms too, because men tend to look at women as basically we're here for their pleasure, you know. So it's perpetuated a little bit more, you know, like in terms of you know, the way that we dress, and, you know, them basically feeling like they can, you know, do the cat calling and the whistling and all that stuff. And it's like, if they don't get a response, then it's like we're the bitches, you know what I mean, for basically ignoring them. Because it's like, how dare you, you know, how dare you walk down the street without a smile on your face? You know what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of things, I think, unfortunately for men, they're probably taught and, you know, conditioned in certain ways to view women as us basically being here for them and for their pleasure. And, you know, we've talked about that on previous episodes where, you know, a lot of men aren't even that great of sexual partners. And, you know, they totally don't have the same pressures or accountability, or even just, you know, where people are really in their ear, like, look, you need to know what you're doing besides doing all the, you know, the wooing to, you know, to get me on the date and all that other kind of stuff. Like, if you're not able to perform, then, you know, it's just as much of a waste, and we gonna talk shit about you, and we gonna tell our girlfriend.
Sure are. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
What's that?
You better get that product right before your launch. Get that together.
Or we will Yelp you. We'll give you 1 star on Yelp.
Yelp reviews. Okay, I love it. So I have another great clip. I think we kind of talked about one of these, so I'm gonna go past it, but let me bring this in. Hold on, let me get this. Oh, this phone don't want to give me no love now. Can I get a clip? Lord have mercy. Okay, hold on. Okay. I don't understand. This is, y'all just bear with me. 'Cause I don't know why today wants to be the day.
It's crazy for me too, girl. I had the craziest day.
Me too.
Yeah, I just,
Mine started at
I
like
have
3
much to
this
say
morning.
about
It
this
was
one. I'm
like,
just
it's
trying to
gonna
make
be
it
crazy.
through. So have
Mhm.
mercy. Okay, I hope this is the right clip, but we're gonna run it anyway. Let's go.
From that being objectified in college, then in the pros, I've noticed after therapy for the first time, other than my mother and them, my mom and them, women didn't really ask about me. They talked at me. Women didn't talk to me. I'm
Okay, so in this clip, I know it was short because it was actually too long to get the real grit of it. But in this clip, Jerrell was talking about how after going to therapy for the first time and really listening to the way the therapist talked and the questions that they asked and so on and so forth, that women were not asking him these questions on dates. And equally as so, he wasn't asking these questions. So again, we talk about this a lot on this show. Did we learn to qualify our partners? So what do you guys think about asking the right and the deep and the valuable questions on a first date? And when did you learn what to ask, how to ask, and how to really get to know and vet a man? Me, I'm still learning, so I'll just put that out there.
I was gonna say the same thing. Like, I'm still vetting, but definitely through trial and error, and through my past failed relationships. And then when, after you got out of a breakup and you've probably had a little period of, time to sit with yourself, you learn a little bit. And then when you go on another date again, you do have to ask important questions because now you know some things, and you should at least ask the things that you know. Because there's been times where I've just been so smitten that I didn't ask the right questions, and then boom, here I am down another road that I don't want to be on again. And so now it's like you really have to stick to your guns. You really have to do lay the foundation, do it right. There's no skipping through this. There's me over here always trying to go fast. Like, there's no skipping through this. Like, you really have to sit, ask them the questions, get to know them. Like, there's no rush through this. You cannot rush this. If this is for life, this is your partner for life, like, you can't rush it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that there is a part of it that comes with trial and error, and also not being afraid to ask, certain questions. Because I know, like, we often will hear or be told, like, you don't want to talk about, your previous relationships or, politics, or, there's always like certain rules that you don't want to necessarily hit, or certain topics on the first date. And I agree that, sometimes that can be a little it can be a little much depending on, just the personality of the person that you're out with. But I'm naturally a deep person. So for me, surface level questions are just not going to get it. Like, we have to be able to have, I love mental stimulation and being able to talk about topics just in general. And so you can learn a lot about a person by simply just asking a couple layers about stuff that either, just general topics of just what you like to do or what you've done that, are like good experiences or the bad experiences, without it becoming too personal. Like, I don't necessarily suggest that you need to ask somebody what their credit score is, the first date. But obviously, if you're getting closer to marriage, there is a place where that comes into play. And then that would be, more appropriate. And that's where it's not a rush, what Cookie was talking about, of like definitely giving space for a lot of those deep conversations. But, I would say when it comes to that, it may be, as women, maybe creating an environment or creating a space where the man actually feels like it's safe enough to basically unleash and spill whatever, you know what I mean, or share whatever. And oftentimes, in order for that to happen, we're the ones that have to go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just something that I've
I agree.
learned just in my, just even in interviewing people, for jobs, or just, through coaching and consulting, just all those things. Sometimes you have to kind of be the one to set the stage and set the tone. And then it allows that other person, to open up, and you end up finding out things that are just as valuable without maybe having to go like for the gusto and ask this super deep question that might be perceived as too personal. You know what I'm saying? Like depending on when it happens. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, but see, that's where you get me. This is why I'm a Gemini, so I'm like all the way over here, all the way over there, and I'd be trying to find the middle ground. But I also like intellectual stimulation, and in mostly the right conversations, I don't have a problem sharing anything about myself. I don't really feel I want people to get to know me, but I am one of those people who gets nervous. I get scared. Like, am I doing too much? Are we even dating like that for me to even be wondering what his relationship with his father was? What his, I'm a little lost as to when to introduce certain kinds of questions. Because for me, in my dating life, I've had the males, men, whatever, that I've interacted with have had such a lack of being clear about what they wanted from me. So I'm letting them lead and I'm following with what I'm getting, but generally they're not equipped to dive those deep waters right away. They're not even equipped enough to say if their heart spoke to me enough and they want to be with me, or are they ready for a relationship, or do they want to date, or do they want to? So I feel like I've been left to having no direction, definitely no leadership. But then I'd be having all these questions and I just be like, dang, am I doing too much? But I want to know. Then it takes me to the point, like, should I even be vetting him that way? He ain't saying anything about whatever. So I kind of feel a little bit lost in the water on part of that. Like, what's too much? What's not enough? When do you introduce the questions? And what am I doing it for? Are we going somewhere? What is your level of interest? Like, I just be confused. I can't even lie. Like, this don't even be seeming linear at all to me.
Yeah, no, I used to feel like that too, but then I feel like with some people it's very easy, like, because I feel like you do know their intentions with you, and when you do, those are the people that you really have to open yourself up and be vulnerable with, because they've already let you know that they're open to that. So I feel like, Jaimi, the reason why you can't ask those questions is because, you don't even know where you stand with them. So why would you even ask those types of questions? I think those types of questions that you really want to ask with someone, that's what someone like, this one's, there's a little weight here. This isn't just someone we just text every now and then. This is someone that we have, the person that you could stay up all night on the phone with. And those are the people that I feel like when it's different, and when you can start to slip those little, so tell me about your mom, tell me about your dad. Like, and no, you don't do that with everybody. You can't. But the men, I feel like, there's usually like a little in. There's a little in that they'll kind of like let you know, like, it's good.
Yeah. And I think that you can always, sometimes you can definitely sense it, but it's always okay to also say, like, is this okay? Like, to ask them, like, do they feel like this is a violation, or is it too much? Like, I don't think that there's anything wrong with, like, is that okay? Like, what happened, with your siblings, or, I heard that you mentioned your sister, like, what about that, and allow them to tell you as much as they want to share, in that moment. And so, I think that we might be overthinking it sometimes, but, we know when we have, like a good chemistry and a good vibe with someone, just a good conversation, just seeing it as that, like someone who's able to keep the pace, keeping the vibe, what I mean? Like, we all know that. But of course, I guess the depth in terms of the direction of the relationship, that of course can only come when it's clarity of, like, are we actually going somewhere, or are we just, going to be great associates, friends, like, fuck buddy, whatever it may be.
All me
ask
lover
that
friends and
question.
everything in
I like
between.
men to know what they want. Like, I'm like, come get me. You know what I'm
Me
saying?
too,
Like, I don't
man.
even like being in that gray space. I'm like, are we doing this or what? Like, and I don't even like asking that
That's what I
question.
want. Mhm.
So am I your girl or not? Like, why?
I'm not
I
gonna
shouldn't
ask
even
that
have to
question.
ask.
I'm not asking.
I feel like in my future, I'm not asking that shit anymore. You're gonna either make me feel like I'm her or we're not. Like, you got to make me
And
feel
whenever
like
you have
I'm
to ask,
that
you
one
have to be
woman in your life, and you don't even have to say it. You don't gotta claim me. You don't gotta do anything, but you got to make me feel that way. It's all about feeling. You make me feel that way, I'll make you feel a whole nother way too.
And whenever there is that doubt, that in itself is the answer. You know, like if I'm confused, well, there it
God
is.
is
You know
not the
what I mean?
author of
Like,
confusion.
God is not the author of confusion, and men are way too direct and too simple to where, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're the ones that basically get confused and stay in this like this headspace of like, is it or it, you know, is it or is it ain't? And so I think, you know,
Is you is or is you ain't my
is
baby?
you is or is you ain't, you know. I did actually see Sunny Rose in the chat. She said that she suspects that I'm sapiosexual, and I definitely am. I could talk about a good book, a good documentary. Like, that is an extreme turn on for me.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God,
I
I
like
love that.
sapiosexuals, but I like men. Like, I like a little football player. Like, I like a man who can work with his hands.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
it's okay if you didn't read every book. Like, if you could build me a back shed, like, that shit is hot. Like, you know, if you could go put some brakes on my car, that shit is hot. I don't care if you didn't read Good Rich Dad Poor Dad. I don't care. Go put my brakes on my car, baby.
And when he can do both,
Build me a
that's the
shed.
musician that's
Oh,
honey.
That's the one you
she's
marry.
somebody that can do
That's the
both.
one you lock it up with.
Like, oh, okay, after you get them breaks, we're gonna go to the library.
There you go.
Barnes and Noble.
Yeah, I'm right in the middle of both of you guys. Got to be able to have the good conversation, but I date a lot of athletes and personal trainers. I feel like every time I turn around, I'm like, "Ooh, girl, I met a guy. We talking. He's a personal trainer. He's a trainer. He's a, you know what I'm saying, football, but basketball. I stay in that because I love the athleticism and I love the dedication it takes for someone to build mentally and physically as an athlete. What they have to go through, sacrifice and discernment and how to pivot in hard times. There's a certain thing that they go through that I'm turned on by it just because it sounds manly to me. But then too, like yeah, to have your master's in African American studies. I'm like, go ahead, Jerrell, to have your schooling at UCLA and getting your degrees and doing all this stuff. Yeah.
Jerrell is like the whole. Jerrell is like the whole package.
A Renaissance man. Yes, and they are out there.
Absolutely. Yes, they are, and I think that's
Tell
something
me
y'all
a
gotta remember. We learned
Jerrell.
that last show.
I'm in the wrong pool again. Damn it! I'm still in the wrong pool. Damn it.
Girl, I've known that man for 10 years and watched him go in and out of dating. I think the same advice that we give each other and we get, like, it's the way we vet, because I like to have these conversations a lot because I see men, it's like, you seem like you got it all together, but then you look at what they're attracted to and what they continuously date, and it gets confusing for me. So it starts to speak to all of those deeper things, like, what is it that you're really fascinated with? Or do you really believe in yourself? Or were you being intentional? Or are you just an ass man? Or is it just, you know what I'm saying? I'm not seeing a lot of the times the reflection of these guys in these women. And I'm not really sure, but then I look at myself and I can say the same thing for some of my choices. So I think at the end of the day, it's all about vetting. And then, of course, taking that moment, which is let's go into that next clip, because I feel like this ties in together perfectly with what we're talking about. So we're gonna do this again. 1, 2. I think it was this one. So let's just see.
The man, this is what we are. So now, to answer a question, men, you get to a chapter in your life, if you're single, I don't have kids, but if you have kids and it didn't work out and you're back out here, you almost have to suppress it and draw back a little bit and put it on cruise control, because you're going to end up doing yourself and other people a lot of damage if you keep going bang, 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 bang.
I agree.
So in that clip, he was talking about playing like, yes, men are hunters. Yes, men go out and get it. But he realized he had to get to a point. I don't want to use the football terms because I'm going to mess it up. But basically how he's leaned back in the cut and thinking and feeling a little bit more before he goes to jump and just fire off, you know, and especially being an athlete when that's what they're taught as well, to just pivot, go to just hit, strike that, you know, so having to go against his nature and welcome in a season of singleness so he can take inventory of his choices is where he's at. So what do you guys think about men and their choice to enter a season of singleness?
I think that it is absolutely necessary. I think, you know, we've shared about that on a previous episode of just the value of having a season of singleness. You know, I think that it kind of ties into a little bit of what you were sharing before, Jaimi, of like how, you know, we'll see people out here and we think about like, that's who you are attracted to. And basically without that season of singleness or even being in a place where you're getting, you know, the therapy and healing, you're not realizing that your trauma and your pain is actually what is leading, as opposed to, you know, the more whole you, as a, you know, it's like your wounds are basically in front, as opposed to like, you know, the things that actually would bring real value, not just this surface stuff. And so that's when, you know, like the man who probably felt like he was overlooked in high school, you know, you tend to see that they tend to have like a type sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, you know, I can see that you're kind of like possibly reliving what it is that you wanted to
Trying
have.
to get the cheerleader still.
Exactly. You still trying to get the cheerleader. And so I think that in those seasons of singleness, especially for men, they can discover, you know, a lot about themselves and even maybe be more disciplined, especially when it comes to, you know, just having sex, you know, easily, because that can happen too. Like, you know, there's a lot of men out here who have a different woman for a different day of the week. And it's not that it's because they're just trying to intentionally hurt someone, but they're also trying to suppress and distract themselves from whatever other thing is going on. Like they basically be having their issues too. It just manifests, you know, a lot differently. And so I think that there is definitely some value in having a moment to, you know, to cleanse, to get to know yourself, to be clear on like, what is it that is, why am I attracted to this particular type of person? Why do I continue to get in relationships and actually choose this type of person? Because it's one thing to be attracted to something and another to get into relationship with it. So, you know, that all can be, I think, discovered and really highlighted in just a different type of discipline to not always be on the impulse when you're in that season of singleness, allowing yourself to, you know, to not always be led by kitty. Or for them, you know, what would be the equivalent of the kitty, the dog? It doesn't count. You know.
The eggplant emoji.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I agree, Keandra. Like, there's definitely something to being like a serial dater too. Because I used to be one too. I was just because I didn't want to be by myself. Like, I didn't want to be alone. But I was carrying so much trauma and so much baggage with me that I was carrying it to every single relationship with me. You just keep, like you said, keep going to go next. And then it was until I sat with myself and then I was like, oh, I have all this baggage, you know? And I felt like kind of what Jerrell was saying, like he was in the cuts for a second and I was finally his first time where he could actually like breathe and like maybe just reflect and like, you know, see the game from a different angle. You're not on the sidelines, you're maybe up in the stands now. And so, you know, that's big for it. It's different when you get different perspectives and you see things from a bird's eye view or you see things from different perspective. You even have men who the only idea of a woman that they want to be with is their mother. So, you know, they're out here looking for their mom and another woman. And maybe you hate your mom. So, but you're really out here trying to date your mom and you don't even know you're trying to date your mom. And you really got childhood trauma with your mom, you know, and that's why it's not working with these women, because you got to deal with her. And so you can, and so like, it's just a lot, you know, it's a lot. And you have to sit with yourself, like Keandra said, go through those therapy, go through those things. And then I feel like you will be right in a good mental playing field, since we're talking about football, to have your head in the game and correctly.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I definitely think that it's important, and I think it's good for men to have that, and for them to even acknowledge that that's what they need and to act accordingly. There has to come a point in your life where, like you said, all that firing off, when you look in retrospect, it really only got you into trouble. So sure, it was distracting. Sure, it's your life. Definitely give, you know, everybody gets the grace of the things that they did in the past. This is not to, you know, crap on guys who might have moved a different way. But if you can shift into that mind space where you are learning something new about yourself, I think that that's amazing. I think it's commendable. I think it's necessary. And, you know, I have to say, I would like to meet a guy after that state, because I don't want him choosing me from a state of like confusion and whatever other little fetish might have come in that, you know, even nowadays I'm mindful of, I share and I'm open and all of these things, but I'm mindful of not selling myself to a guy, because I don't want to get caught up with somebody who is trying to be with me for what I can give them. Just like you said, a lot of these guys are looking for their mother. I'm not about to rattle off all my, you know, resume about how I can fill that space. But if I feel like if a man has a clear mind about where he wants to be and what he's looking for, at least cleared the static a little bit to even hear himself, then he gets to me. I think that that's a much more cleaner slate than, dang, was I just the person you bumped into in the grocery store on a Thursday and this is what you do on Thursdays. And now I'm up here thinking this is something that it ain't really, you know, because you're not in the right headspace. So I like that. I did have to ask him though, because I get this a lot from guys like, I'm just not ready. I'm not ready. I've heard that a lot over the years. And, you know, Keandra, you and I talked about it, right guy, wrong time, still the wrong man, which can definitely be challenging. Yeah. So I was asking Jerrell, like, but what about when you do see something that's inciting, you know, you don't want your wife to pass you by. But again, if that work isn't done, are they really even going to know it's their wife that they're seeing? Or are they just going to get right back to chasing the next tail? Like, so I found value in that a lot.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
I don't even think you would be able to recognize your partner if you're not in that space.
I agree. I mean, there obviously are people who,
right,
you know, get married young and kind of, you know, have the strength and make it through being able to mature and evolve together. But obviously that's not the case for most people. And I think that, you
the
know,
exception to the rule.
Yeah, like, so it can sometimes take a moment where you need to basically sit back and chill before you out there chasing the next thing.
Yeah, you know, yeah, it'd be like that. Sunny Rose in the chat, she said, wow, it's one thing to be attracted and another thing to get into a relationship with it. I'm going to think more about that one. And how brave is that to refrain from selling yourself to a guy? Oh yeah, that doesn't serve. I used to think that, you know, we've talked about in religion how things can get performative and sometimes how that can be a reflection of our relationship with self and others. And I noticed that was something I wanted to take out of the equation, just because, yeah, like sometimes you feel used in these relationships and you don't know why, or you're looking at it like, I don't know. It's just a choice of mine. I'm not going to be advertising all my skills. If you see something that you want over here and it makes sense to you, then we're going to have to unfold what that availability looks like, depending on what we're going to do. I'm really big on that. If I'll talk on the phone. If a guy wants to talk for, and I'm not even doing that much, but I'll go out, I'll engage a little bit. But if we're going to be doing the most, like, I need to know what's going on because it looks different. There's just different parts of me that show up.
Yeah.
Compartmentalized.
And I'm with you, Jaimi, to be sure that we're not doing something that will lead to resentment later. You know, so it's like, I don't want to be showing up as, you know, this ultra domestic person, you know, to try to impress you that I can take care of home and all that. And you're basically playing me. But then at the same time, it's like, you don't have to sell yourself, you know, to the right person. You know, like there's things where they're able to see your value and they're willing to allow the rest of that value to unfold over time and not have to see, you know what I'm saying, the whole shebang.
Perfect. Yeah, girl, because my ex-fiance, or when I got in that first relationship, girl, I was acting like a wife with barely a ring. I just got the ring. We engaged. I'm not your wife. Why am I cooking for you? Why am I taking you on the weekends to my job so I can teach you my job so we can why am I, you know, doing all this with your kids? What am I doing? Why am I showing up in the fullness of a wife and I am not your wife? Once I did that, I'm not doing that no more. It's not even fair. It's not fair to the dude or myself, because what is he getting out of it? You got your butt pampered for a few years.
And what did you get
How
out
did
of
you
it?
grow? What did you learn?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I done playing wifey
so
too
I'm
many
with
times.
it with the patience and slowing down.
Too.
Yeah. And that only comes through that trial and error, right? Like you do it once and you realize like, oh yeah, nah, never again.
I know I had this guy like probably
good.
a couple of months ago. He had the nerves text me like, when you gonna cook for me? I told him, I said, when I'm your wife. Because that's exactly how I feel. Like, I don't be catering to these men no more. Like, you can't come over my house for dinner no more. Like, I don't do that no more. I used to. Yeah. I used to be all up in there. What you want? What you want? What you want? I know how to cook. So do. I'll send you a selfie of what my food looks like, but it ain't for you. Like I'm saving some stuff. I've been telling you I'm saving some stuff for my husband. Like I have to. Like I'm not doing all that right now. Like you're not even doing husband shit. You want me to do wife shit?
How about that?
Could you say that again? Say that one more time.
I said you're not doing husband shit.
No kind
you
of
want
husband.
me to do wife shit. Now go take my breaks, damn it.
I know you lying.
See?
We're not doing that.
Man,
those days are over.
This man got audacity, man. How you just gonna text somebody when you cooking for me?
Yeah.
Are you paying for the groceries?
Right. I was like, when you paying the light bill? Shit.
My car needs an oil change.
Why don't you come over here and impress me and you make the meal?
Thank you.
Right.
Man.
Yeah, no, that's just that. So I don't even know where here it is. Yeah, I'm not really sure what to do with that anymore. But like you said, Keandra, it's trial and error. We all learning what we don't want to feel anymore, and then trying to look over the situation to clean it up and figure out, okay, where did I drop the ball? Where did I do too much? What part hurt? Because like you said, there is a resentment that comes in. For me, I knew I had to stop performing for men in a particular way, regardless if they were an athlete. Because even Jerrell said that. He asked in the interview, he told us in the interview that he asked a couple of women from around his way, why are women willing to do whatever he wants? And they were like, basically, you know, not only do you look good, but you go back in your community and you do this and that. You, the way you speak, the way you're educated, the way you show up, like all of these things. And I do think that that's amazing for a well-to-do man. But again, it's that scarcity mentality. We act like we see one good-looking dude with a mind on his head and we lose ours, when really we are the equal. Like, do we forget how boss we are and what we've accomplished and how many times we've been on television and publications and you know? So all of that stuff, I'm definitely looking at these.
Oh, we have a good question, Tony.
I'm not going to be able to do that.
So
Yes,
Tony asked, yeah.
What
Oh,
do we
Tony, sorry,
identify as
girl, my
husband
girl.
duties?
So I'll go. One of them is, just making sure I'm good. Like, have you eaten today? Are you good? I don't need you to pay them, but just make sure I'm good financially. If my car breaks, I need you to go fix that for me. Trash duties, anything that has to do with putting some shelves up in my house. Like, being a man, to me, asking me how's my son. I'm a mother, and that's one of the things that's a deal breaker for me. If a man's not including my son in some things, that's, to me, it speaks to a future husband in me. I have a child, so if you want to date me, you're dating me and my child. So if you're asking about my child, if you're trying to take me and my child to the beach, if you're trying to take me and my child out, that's husband duties, because you really trying to be in my life like that, because you're trying to be in my son's life like that. That's kind of what I feel like, exploring me deeper than let's go to the movies, let's go have dinner, let's have sex. Like, that's kind of how I feel. Like, a husband is doing deeper things with me, trying to build, those types of things. I mean, I know you shouldn't really build like with businesses and houses and stuff like that without your husband, but someone who's having those talks with me, like, we're talking about building, we're talking about growing together. Little boys, those man boys, they don't have conversations like that.
Yeah, I feel like for me, one of those husband qualifiers is basically if they ask those questions and are doing things that are around your well-being. So a lot of like what you were talking about, Cookie, I think displays that. But even just something as simple as like, did you eat today? Like, I always appreciate that question. And it's something that's so simple, but it's like, you actually care that I am getting well fed, that I'm getting balanced meals, you know what I mean? And if I say that I'm not, then it's like, okay, if it is something where, they may be on their way to bring something, they may be cooking, whatever. But I think that, the husband duties, without it falling too much into like gender specific certain things, like, I feel like it's when the well-being of me as a person, that you actually care, that my existence, that I'm well, that I'm healthy, that I'm provided for, just those basic needs are actually met.
Yeah, and I have to agree with both of you, and I think mine is a combination of both. It's like, men are the fixers, they're the problem solver. So if you're consistently trying to solve problems for me and you're listening with that ear that is looking for ways to serve me, that is a husband duty. A man whose ear is open and listening to, attuned to hearing how he can serve me.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to always be convenient for him. It's not going to always be easy. It's not going to always be like, you have to go out of your way to put somebody else on your care list. If you ain't asking me those things, like, don't get me wrong, we good. I just know where I stand. I'm not going to be, that's what I'm saying. We can play this. We can keep each other at arm's length, or we can bring each other in. But yeah, please be trying to fix something in my life.
Yeah.
I need help.
My brakes, bro. Fix my brakes.
Man.
Look, traffic is bad out here in LA.
Will somebody please fix my brakes?
I've been changing my brakes like twice a year. I just need a man to come in my life and change my damn brakes. I mean, and I don't mean those brakes.
Man, I think, and you know what, and I know us, like, we're such independent women, and I don't say that in a way where obviously we're very open to men, and I know you're in a relationship, Keandra, but it's just like, we need help, dude. Like, I don't really think, maybe it's just me, let me just talk about me. I need help. This is a lot. To be an adult and really carry all of this stuff all of the time, like, don't get me wrong, I'm down to do what needs to be done, but just the thought of some assistance. If you gonna cook tonight because I can't, if you gonna pick something up or do it just because I'm not able, or blah, blah, like, it could be the littlest things. You grab the floss from Target today. Thank you. Man, just little, or like, I can tell you're in the mood. All right, give me a hug. It's gonna be okay. And then let's keep going. But to not have nothing, I'd be over here like, oh my God.
I know you had a crazy day. Let me go pick up that dry cleaning for you. Like, oh, you told me that you needed, like you said, you told me that you needed some conditioner. I'm at Target, or a man who calls me from the store. I'm at the store right now. You need anything? That shit. Oh, what?
Yes, I do.
What? I do
I
need
forgot
something.
to pick up water today.
Garbage
It's too heavy
bags,
for me.
Jax. Husbands.
Yes, I do need some shit.
Golly. As a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Tani in the chat said,
Some
see how
honey
simple
pot
we are.
wine.
I know men swear, oh, we're so simple. Yeah. And it's like, dude, we're simple too. Just help out. I love that. One other thing that I wanted to share in here that Jerrell shared was that, so he was transparent in sharing that his insecurities come from trusting people, which of course I completely understand. I mean, especially when you are like a well-to-do person or a really good-looking person or a really wealthy person, and not like this is just exclusive to those verticals, but I'm just saying like this whole thing with trusting people. So what do you guys think maybe, okay, maybe Cookie, I'll ask you because I know you're still single. What do you feel like your biggest insecurity is with trying to navigate these waters when it comes to dating? Like, what is one thing that feels like, oh, I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah. For me, it's just about being in a long-term relationship. That scares the fuck out of me. Like, I've never been in one, So the thought of one, and I've never seen anybody in my life besides my grandparents be in one. So the thought of me being in one, I'm like, well, what does that even look like? My mom hasn't been in one, my aunts, all the women in my life, my friends, none of my friends are married. Like, nobody's been in a long-term thing. So I'm like, I think that brings so much anxiety for me. The thought of like just being with one person, I feel like I have to search forever just to make sure he's right. And then even in some of my last relationships, I feel like in my heart of hearts, I knew it wasn't forever and I still was in it. And so I don't know. I feel like, am I searching for forever, or am I supposed to be searching for these qualities that I feel like, or is there forever with people, or is there seasons with people? So I go back and forth in this thing in my mind, like, oh, well, I learned something from him. Even my ex, like, I learned something from him. We have a beautiful child together. We're done, but that was our season and I'm not mad at it, and I'm like, so going into my next one, I don't want to sell myself short, but I don't want to be like, well, is this just a few more years of my life, or is this going to be like my forever? That's my biggest thing, Jaimi. That brings me the most anxiety of when I think about my future with somebody and what that actually looks like. And I gotta go soon.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, very well said. I wanted to throw that in. It just made sense to me.
No.
I thought that was transparent of him,
Of
just
course.
to, let people know too that like, men think about that kind of stuff. Cause there's some stuff that, men say, I was like, dang, I never would have thought y'all were even thinking about that. Cause you make it seem like everything's so accessible to you. You just women dating, you ain't got emotions. You don't care. You having your set. They seem so lackadaisical. I'm like, oh, you care? Oh, okay. Like you're afraid of something. You think this way. So I like that I'm learning that. So I just wanted to sprinkle that in there. But this was a really good show, guys, especially despite the technical difficulties. I don't know about you, but I'm about to watch this little Netflix. I see K Hart has a little something new. I just want to chuckle tonight and call it a night.
I'm trying to watch the
any last
HBO
thoughts
Fresh
before we bounce us out
Prince,
of here?
man. Who's gonna give me their HBO password? I'm trying to watch the Fresh Prince.
Oh, the reunion. That's
I'm trying to watch it. I'm gonna need
See, do I
somebody's
have it?
password for the one
I
time.
wonder if it's on the Fire Stick.
Is it on there for free?
I don't know. It might be. They be dropping all kind of things on there.
I didn't see it. I got a Fire Stick. I'm gonna need a password.
Somebody just had. Yeah, I'm gonna double check because I know I had a free trial of HBO Max and I might have HBO. So if I still got it and it didn't lapse, I'll hook you up, girl.
Yeah, girl. I'm gonna need that password.
Don't tell Kevin. don't tell the networks.
We won't.
We're out here.
You're just gonna get a message like somebody
Oh,
has signed in
well,
from Inglewood, California.
Inglewood up to no
trying to sign
good.
in from your
Always.
account.
I love it. Well, this was so great. I'm so glad we had a chance to get on and chit chat. I know I definitely needed that today. It always works out kinks in my brain, and it feels like having company. So thank you guys for coming through and
like
sharing your love and light,
therapy
like
for me.
always.
This is like grown ass.
Seriously.
Or
Yeah,
even if it's just fun for me to be able to like know that I got past some shit because I'm able to sit and laugh with you guys about it. I'm like, oh, it don't hurt anymore because I'm making fun of myself about it, and like that's when I know, like, oh, okay. So I appreciate this platform. I appreciate all the kings who speak. Jerrell, thank you for being open and honest. And you know, Jaimi, I always tell you I love this platform. I appreciate you for having me on here. Like I said, it's therapeutic for me. But I also know that in me being open and honest, I know that we reach other people out there too. And so I love it. Like I'm an open book, and I've messed up so many times in my life that I can honestly say, like, I know better now.
When we know better, we do better.
Well, when you know better, you do better. That's what we all out here trying to do. Anything that you wanted to share, Keandra, before we go? Do you have something coming up or anything?
I don't have anything specific coming up, but, just echoing again, like very grateful for the platform, grateful for everyone who watched live. I know there's a Jeezy and Gucci Mane versus that was probably going on at the same time. So, like if you were tuned in, you made the choice. We're glad that you're here with us. But yes, definitely always appreciative of the chat, those who are watching live. It's always so great for the engagement. So just grateful for it all, and hope that everyone has a great Thanksgiving coming up.
Oh yeah.
That Thanksgiving is next Thursday. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Already. Oh my
okay,
goodness.
So we won't have a show over turkey. We're gonna let y'all breathe. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I won't miss one. I'll be back on the next
happy
one.
holidays. Oh yeah, you'll be back. So yes,
I won't even skip a beat this time.
But that's okay. We'll be geared up for next week.
Yeah.
There you go.
And shout out to Sunny
God.
Rose and Connie Belafonte. Everybody in the comments, we love it. It's so good.
Absolutely. Well, you guys are amazing and beautiful. Thanks for making yourselves available to share and be open. I'm so excited about all of the stuff that we bring to the table, and we're just going to keep shining. So everybody on the chat and y'all have a great rest of your night, and we'll get into some more shenanigans the week after next.
After we all stuff our bellies.
Yes. Bye.
That's right.
Good night.
All right, y'all.